Here's the paradox that broke an empire. Rome's greatest military strength became its fatal weakness in a single afternoon. August 9th, 378 CE. Emperor Valens leads 60,000 Roman legionaries toward Adrianople, modern-day Turkey. He's hunting Goths. But these aren't the disorganized barbarian refugees Rome expects. They're a cavalry-centered war machine that's about to rewrite military history. Okay, zoom out. Why does this battle matter? For 8 centuries, Rome dominated through disciplined infantry. Legions in tight formation, shields locked, short swords stabbing. It's a system that conquered the Mediterranean, but systems can fossilize. And today, that fossilization will cost Rome an emperor. The Goths had crossed the Danube 2 years earlier, not as invaders, but as refugees fleeing the Huns. Rome agreed to resettle them. Classic imperial strategy: turn barbarians into allies. But Roman officials got greedy. They sold rotten food at inflated prices, enslaved Gothic children, basically turned aid into extortion. The Goths rebelled. And here's what Rome missed. These weren't Germanic tribes with crude weapons. The Goths had learned from the Sarmatians, master horsemen of the steppes, heavy cavalry, mounted archers, a completely different way of war. Valens knew reinforcements were coming. His nephew Gratian commanded another army just days away. Smart strategy would be wait, combine forces, then attack with overwhelming numbers. But Valens was impatient. See, there's palace politics here. Gratian had just won victories against the Alemanni. If Valens waited for help, Gratian might claim credit for the Gothic victory too. Imperial ego versus tactical sense. Guess which one? August 9th. Roman scouts report Gothic forces near Adrianople. Valens seizes chance. He marches his legions 8 miles in summer heat, full armor, heavy packs. By afternoon, they're exhausted before the fighting even starts. Here's the catch. When Romans arrive, they find Gothic wagons arranged in a defensive circle. It's called a lager, mobile fortress. Women and children inside, warriors on the perimeter. Looks defensive, almost vulnerable. Valens deploys in classic formation. Heavy infantry in the center, cavalry on the wings. Standard Roman doctrine. Infantry punches through, cavalry protects flanks. It's worked for centuries. But hold that thought. Where's the main Gothic cavalry force? Roman scouts report only light skirmishers. The heavy horsemen, the real threat, are nowhere to be seen. Actually, they're out foraging. Gothic commanders Alathius and Saphrax had taken the cavalry to gather supplies. Pure coincidence. But it's about to become the most consequential timing in military history. Fighting starts around 2 p.m. Roman infantry advances toward the wagon circle. Arrows fly. Initial contact looks promising for Rome. The Gothic line seems to bend. Then, disaster. Dust clouds on the horizon. The missing Gothic cavalry returns. Not just a few squadrons, but thousands of heavy horsemen. They see Roman legions stretched thin, flanks exposed. Here's the tactical breakdown. Roman cavalry on the wings can't match Gothic heavy horse. They're lighter, fewer, and already tired from the march. Gothic cavalry smashes through Roman flanks like a sledgehammer through glass. Classical double envelopment. Think Cannae, but with mounted troops. Gothic horsemen sweep around both Roman wings, attacking from behind. The legions find themselves surrounded. Their greatest strength, tight formation, becomes a trap. In the chaos, Emperor Valens disappears. Some say he fell fighting. Others claim he burned to death in a hut where wounded Romans sought shelter. His body was never found. 2/3 of the Roman army dies. 60,000 men reduced to corpses on a Turkish plain. The Eastern Field Army, Rome's primary mobile force, essentially ceases to exist. But here's the deeper consequence. Adrianople doesn't just kill an emperor. It kills a military doctrine. For centuries, Rome believed infantry supremacy was natural law. Heavy cavalry? That's for barbarians. Suddenly, Rome realizes the battlefield has changed. Mounted warfare isn't primitive, it's evolved. The empire that once conquered through disciplined foot soldiers now scrambles to recruit German horsemen, rebuild around cavalry doctrine. Within decades, the Western Empire collapses. Eastern Rome, Byzantium, survives by embracing mounted warfare completely. Cataphracts become the new legions. The irony cuts deep. Rome fell because it couldn't see enemies clearly. Valens looked at Gothic cavalry and saw disorganized refugees. He should have seen a military revolution. It's a pattern that echoes through history. Established powers often collapse not from external strength, but from internal blindness. They mistake their own systems for natural law, treat innovation as barbarism. For leaders today, Adrianople offers a stark warning. Yesterday's decisive advantage can become tomorrow's fatal weakness. Adaptation isn't optional, it's survival. The moment you stop seeing opponents on their own terms is the moment your empire starts crumbling. If you found this deep dive into tactical psychology compelling, smash that like button, subscribe to Clash and Consequence, and hit the bell for more stories where small decisions reshape entire civilizations.